everyone. All right, welcome. Candace joining late. Awesome. Welcome to the call. Let's get started. Guys, tonight's call, the topic is accountability. And it's a big one, pretty much in everyone's life because it's everything. It's everything that you set your mind to, and how are you being held accountable, or how are you choosing to hold yourself accountable, that I think is the most important part when you're trying to accomplish anything. Because we can go through the motions, we can do whatever we want, and if no one knows about it except us, our own personal self, we get to choose whether it means something or not, right? We get to choose whether we're going to actually complete a project or not, or complete a goal or a thought process, or maybe someone wants to write a book and they haven't told anybody, so they get to choose if they want to do that or not, right? So Candace is one of them. Now, I would challenge Candace to reach out to somebody and tell them every single day how much they've written, because it's going to hold them, it's going to hold her accountable, and then it's going to have the other person hold, in return, hold Candace accountable. So these things that we decide to do, these goals that we set out to accomplish, if no one knows but you, I guarantee you may not get the exact amount of success that you want out of it, or the most success out of it, just because you can let yourself off the hook, and it's really easy to do that. All right. So I really am going to go into this article that I've found, and I really like it. So let's share my screen here. You guys can all see this article. Yes, great. You know, I like articles. So 6 ways to hold yourself accountable and crush your goals this year. The first one, we're going to skip what he talks about. Write everything down. I'm just going to pause there for 1 second or two. I tell you guys this shit every day. Write it all down, right? Every Monday we write it all down, for the most part. I hope that we write more down. I used to write more down. I'm going to start again, and writing everything down is a pretty cool idea. I can tell you this, that I've been starting to write client workouts in a book. Every time they come in, I have their programming written in a book. We go over the sets, we write the numbers, we have the weights, we have everything like that. They're crushing it because we're writing it down. Allison can attest to this. When you filled out your chart and you made a spreadsheet for your 6-week programming, you wrote everything down, and you came to the end and was shocked at the amount of weight. Pretty sure it was like almost 800,000 pounds, right? Which is crazy, 6 weeks. But you would have never known that if you didn't write it down. You can never reflect on anything if you don't write it down. You can never really truly figure out where you've started and where you've come to if you don't write it down. This is why we take measurements for people at the very beginning of things. This is why we set our goals on Monday, so we can reflect back. I challenge you guys on this call to go back to the very first time you ever wrote a goal on the Monday post by Allison. I want you guys to go back as far as you can, because I think you can search Allison in the inner circle and all her posts will come up, and you can even go further back if you want to dig, and just try to go back to those Monday posts and see where you've come with your goals. If your goals are still almost like I call them maybe surface level goals or weekly task goals. If that's still the case of what's happening on your Monday goals, and you don't have even 1 or 2 that are a little bit larger, a little bit bigger, a little bit scarier, then I challenge you to start doing that stuff on your Mondays, or I challenge you to start writing it in your book. Any book that you may have. Like I've got this book here on my desk, the Planner 2019. It's nice, shiny to make me, look at it more and write more. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to start putting stuff in here, and then I can come to it next year, right? 2020, which is kind of crazy that we're going to be in 2020, and I can look back and say, oh wow, look what I did in February, look what I did in March, April, May, and look how far I've come from this day, right? And what it boils down to is when you do write everything down, it comes down to it being a single action. This is one action step. And if you do this single action step, it starts you or propels you to the next action step. So when we go to this number 2, after we write my dailies, and this person talks about sticky notes all cover their whole screen, and then they take them off and get it off the screen as fast as possible, but the only way to get those off is if they're accomplishing, obviously, what they're doing. And I don't necessarily recommend that. That's cool if that works for you, but if you really got to get into your computer right away, well, then you better either work fast, take action, or choose something else. But pretty cool idea. Number 2, this one's big, guys. Identify your personal mission statement. This is something that you do not necessarily need to share. It's up to you because it can get personal. Like, it is a personal mission statement. So if you don't want a lot of people to know, maybe just the closest people to you, then I still recommend sharing it, just because they will, again, this goes back to being held accountable. That person will know your mission statement. And if you start to maybe veer off, then they can kind of guide you back in and give you that little push, or let's call it a bumper on either side, so to speak, so they keep you going down that lane, right? So identifying your personal mission statement. And that brings me to this little segue here of a great book. This book here, it's called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. This is a great place to start. This book is a wonderful book because it basically goes over and tells you how to create your why, or different leaders in the community and stuff like that. It's the mentality that you need to have, and it's a really good book to help you potentially identify your personal mission statement. Okay, so it's very important if you don't have anything that you can connect to on your own personal level, because then you don't go deep. You stay surface level. You stay writing, oh, I'm going to walk the dog 5 times a week. I'm going to, I've done it. I've said it. We stay there. And I don't know about you, but it's cool. It's a nice, fun life when you do those surface level stuff, but it's not, I don't think it's our full potential, right? I think there's deeper goals that we should be setting. And the reason being that we probably don't write them down is because they're scary, and we don't want people to judge us for what we actually want in our lives. And at the end of the day, no one else is going to live it for you. They're going to live their own life. They're not going to come and say, hey, let's go do that one deep, dark thing that you want to do that you won't tell anybody about, but it's a great goal. No one's going to do that, right? You have to go and do it yourself. You have to take your own action. And it starts with your mission statement, the reason why you do something, what's fueling you. Right? It could be your family, it could be children, it could be, a certain person in your life that's given something to you and it's been impactful to you that you want to, give back or do something like that. Anything that gets you up in the morning and gets you going. Okay? That is your mission statement. This one, number 3. I guarantee not enough of us do this. Okay? Reward your accomplishments and milestones. Guarantee nobody stops at the top of the milestone and looks back and says, holy shit, look how far I've come. Congratulations, let's have a pizza, let's drink a Coke, and let's have a celebration. We probably just eat the pizza, drink the Coke, and don't think. It's probably true. Guys, this is big. I can't stress it enough. It says here, take vacations, that kind of stuff. I feel like I'm in that right now. I work nonstop, very little breaks. It was, I am slowly realizing that, like I even said it, I believe I said it to Allison about what's happening. And you said to me, look how far you've come, you're crushing at the gym and this and that. It's just one of those things that we don't give ourselves enough credit for. And we really need to. It's so simple. And the feeling of gratification that you get from rewarding yourself is pretty big. And it doesn't have to be public. It doesn't have to be out there. It's just for you. It could be you just taking your own time and having a break, having a day, or having a 48-hour hiatus from whatever you're doing, just to take some time for the things that matter most. It can be anything, any form of reward. And I truly believe that we need to do more of it. I know that I need to do more of it because I can feel it. I can feel like the pressure is building up, and if I don't, I think I won't be happy. So it hits home. I like this one. Number 3 is a good one. Keep it in mind, guys. Don't let that one go past too far. Number 4, create micro goals. We've talked about this in the past, creating smaller goals, another term that we've used. Micro goals, same thing. It just means we got to break things down into smaller steps before we get to that pinnacle, that, you know, top of the pile success. Put the flag in and you conquered it, right? We need these micro goals, and without them, I don't think we'll progress as fast as we should be. We'll look at it and be like, oh my gosh, I have to climb this massive hill, when meanwhile there's a rock right here that you could grab and pull yourself up quite easily, right? So that's a micro goal right there. Or there's just this pathway that goes a little bit sideways, but you know, ever so slowly it's still going upward, right? Okay, let's take that pathway. Here's a goal set on that pathway. We take the pathway, we're going to get to this point, right? And then all of a sudden now you have this rope attached to a tree that you're going to pull yourself up. You get a little bit higher, right? You jump off the tree, don't die, and you're all of a sudden past the next goal. If we don't look at it like that, we usually don't take action, because all we're doing is looking way up and we're like, holy, that's really far, right? And then we just say, well, I'm comfortable down here. I'm okay right where I am. And then no one really moves and no one really questions you, because they don't want to like step over their boundary and be like, no, fuck that. We're going to go to the top. We're going to get on that rock. We're going to climb that tree. We're going to take this pathway. It just doesn't work like that. It doesn't happen like that unless you really have a really kick-ass friend that's a go-getter and will push you along the way. But I'm telling you, these micro goals will connect the dots, and it's something that I challenge you guys to use and do. And you know, myself, Allison, and Ryan, we both, like the three of us, we set these smaller goals to get to the next step. It's like, okay, well, if we do this, is it going to draw in, you know, our community more? Is it going to connect everybody more? Is it going to, you know, give them a reason to support our vision? Is it going to give them, you know, the tools that they need to be successful? So we do implement these small things in hopes that it creates a larger effect. So I can tell you it definitely works. Without doing this stuff, I wouldn't be where I am today. Micro goals, very important to do. Number 5, reviewing your performance. This is a big one. You know, I'm really happy that I do have an app that I can track all of the statistics now. So we are coming up to a year of using the app. In April is pretty much that year point where it was in full swing. So I'm excited. I really am excited, because people have asked me, oh, how many did you have last year? I'm like, I don't know, a few. I just look at, the only number I can truly look at is the revenue coming in, but I didn't have anything tracked. Like when people were jumping on board with me, they're like, well, how many people do you have coming? I'm like, oh, sometimes 20. They're like, well, how do you know? And I'm like, I don't. And honest to God, I would look at that door and just more people would be coming in because I had no idea. And I had to write the workout as such, being like, okay, I've got room for 7 more exercises over here, just in case 7 more people walk in that door. And if anybody's been around long enough, you've probably seen the smallest ass writing for exercise number 36 in the bottom, you know, right corner of the board, being like, oh shit, building run. Yes. The last one that's there that I didn't put on because it gets someone outside, so there's enough space inside to move. That used to be every Sunday. And I look back at it and be like, I don't know how we survived and kept people. I really don't, because I'm sure people were just so pissed that nothing was ever organized. But it may have looked organized, but honestly, in my head, I was just like, oh my God, I really need to log that door. I do. And then we open up more times and it, you know, it helped. And then look what's happening again. Like obviously it's family day tomorrow, and I opened up the morning time, and now we have, I think, 27 at 10 and like 22 or something at 8:45. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to open up another time. Oh geez. Just if everybody decided to come, now that I have statistics, we'd be in a shitstorm. But it's a good problem to have. But anyways, I got a little sidetracked there, but reviewing your performance is gonna be so exciting for me, because I then can manage the business. I can be like, okay, well, this month we're actually going to push a little bit more because the trend looks like we can, or we can upgrade things, or we can truly manage the business now, knowing kind of what our history is and what are some of our expectations of a busy time and a slower time and like this and that. February is a short month, so I know that it's probably going to be a little bit slower with people, and this tends to be the fall off of those New Year's resolutions, right? This is into week 5, 6, and 7. Usually by week 8, there's only something like, it's a stupid low percentage of people that are still sticking to it, and then they rev back up by the end of it being like, oh man, I really got to do something that sucked. I didn't stick to anything, right? So that comes in March. So I know that happens in February, but I still don't have numbers to track. So I'm really, really, really excited about that. And it's the only way to really keep yourself in check from a business perspective is to know what your numbers were prior to that. So the app is really cool. I really enjoy that. So I suggest that you guys create some sort of system to review your performance around it. And I guarantee you that if we go back to step 1, you're going to be able to thank yourself a year from now because you wrote it all down, because that's the best way to review your own performance. Unless you're, if you're self-employed, that kind of stuff, then by all means. But if you're working your job and that kind of thing and you want to grow, and you need to write that shit down. So number 5 is a good one. All right, this one's a hard one to swallow. Number 6, seek feedback from your team. This one, honestly, I guarantee you it's probably the hardest for everyone to do that is in some form of leadership one way or another. Because there's a lot that goes on, like, and let's call us all leaders in a respect. We lead our own life. We are the person that drives our own bus. When have we ever asked our peers for just general feedback of our wellness? Like, hey guys, like, how do you think I'm doing? Like, how, as a friend, like, how do you feel I've been? I've never asked a friend how they think or what they think of me, right? And it's not that it matters what they ultimately think. It's a double-edged sword there, right? But I think if you did that and you actually, if they gave you the truth, first off, I think that that's a problem too. People don't tell the truth just because we want to be nice. It's a weird concept to seek feedback if you're not in a leadership position. So it's interesting. I really think we need to practice this. I wouldn't have said number 6. I would have left it out if I didn't think it was important, but it certainly is. Yeah, like it relates employees here and stuff like that, but I'm trying to think of the best way for us if we're not in a management position of employees or something like that, how we could get that feedback. But I think it's from our peers that are our friends, and just have honest conversations, open conversations, maybe even spin it around to say, hey, what can we do as a group to be better human beings? What can we do as a group to help more people? With nothing in return, with no expectations. I find that when I try to reach out to people, I think that because I own a business and stuff like that, that there's expectations that come from it, and people may think that. It's a really hard thing for me to divide, and I try to do my best. If they end up, coming out and supporting me in return, which is great, but honestly, like, I do offer help. I ask people if they need help, all that kind of stuff. And I want to put that vibe out there that I don't expect anything in return. If they do come to the gym and support me and anyone in my businesses, then great. That's their choice, but it's not a tie-in. It's not tied selling. Like, I'm not looking for them to come to Fit Club just because I help tie their shoe. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like that. But I think if we got into a small group that we trusted, we could have those open conversations, it's going to be good. Seeking feedback from your team, probably one of the hardest things out there. But if there's something you guys can add to that, by all means, in the group afterwards, or you can chime in on that one anytime throughout this call. But I think it's important to do that. Okay, so I can stop sharing my screen. So I will share that link, obviously, in the page as per usual. Also, are you loading links that I share back into that shared drive, or no? You can just not remember that? No? Okay. That's okay. We can load them. I haven't shared that many. The list is very short. Like, maybe it'll be 2. Okay. Guys, this book, really good book. Okay, so 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Once you set your goals, this book is going to be, for me, it was a lot. Like it's a lot. There's a lot of things in there. Candace is giving thumbs up. It's just a really cool book. And it talks about, like, even I just opened here, chapter 6 is the law of environment. Growth thrives in conducive surroundings. If you're in an environment that is holding people accountable, then you'll be more successful in this situation, right? If you want to grow in the gym and you're in a gym, you're in the right spot, as long as you have people that are supporting you, right? If you want to educate yourself on a certain topic, well, you need to go and ask the people that know to teach you, right? There's tons of different things in here that can teach you to grow and take action, which is like the second part of this call. Taking action after you learn the tools of accountability is the only way you become ultimately successful. Find me a person that's just sitting on a beach doing nothing and becoming rich, or becoming full of experiences, or find me no one. There isn't. Someone put them there, they put themselves there, all that kind of stuff, right? So this book is a great segue into the taking action part. It even talks about the law of pain. Good management of bad experiences leads to great growth. That is huge too, and we've talked about that. People go through bad experiences and treat it as something that'll pull them back, right? No, this is the reason you need to take more action, is because you're going through something that's troubling. You're going through an earning for something. If you earn for something and long for it, it usually avoids you. It usually, it doesn't come to you. Usually bring the problem that you're trying to avoid upon you. But if you just give in a little bit, you just have to give in a little bit to what's actually happening, and then you'll actually start seeing some success around it. If someone's constantly at you to do something, guys, try it. There's a reason why that person is constantly at you to do something. It's not because they're nagging at you. It's because they actually believe that you can do it. My goal as a coach and a trainer is to believe that someone can do something before they get there. And the only way that I can believe that you can get there is if you show a little bit that says, I want to. You have to have that yes, I want to attitude. If you go into any situation without that yes, I'm going to take action attitude, no one is going to help you. No one, right? So when we go through this book, I recommend you guys read this. The Law of the Ladder. Character growth determines the height of your personal growth. We've heard this kind of stuff before. If you become a better person, better to yourself, all that kind of stuff, like, it brings you to higher levels. This book hit home so hard that I probably am going to listen to it again. It was a little bit of time ago that I listened. I burned through a bunch of books, but I'll go back to this book constantly because there's so many laws of growth that you can just keep going over. The law of the rubber band. Growth stops when you lose the tension between where you are and where you could be. Just think about that for a minute. When you lose the tension between where you are and where you could be, guys, bands expand and contract. When there's zero tension, there's no pulling. There's no pulling you to the next stop. There's no pulling you to the next bit of success. It leaves you there until you anchor that band on another goal, right? When you put that band on another goal and you attach it and you pull and you pull and you pull, there's constant tension on it, just like in the gym. If you take the tension off the weight on a cable, you drop the dumbbell, you drop the barbell, there's nothing on you anymore that's helping to create more muscle. Zero. Big ol' zilch. Time under tension. We talk about that. The same thing applies here, right? This is action taking. You have to constantly be attaching yourself to something new that inspires you to keep going. And if you don't, that's okay. You don't have to, but you'll stay where you are. And that's okay too. You don't always have to constantly be going, because we do talk about self-reflection. We do talk about taking time, but understand that you need to have that right over your shoulder to latch on to something in the near future. We as human beings thrive off going forward. We thrive. Like, look at technology. When was the last time you thought about the day before cell phones? Does anybody remember the day before cell phones? What were you doing before you had a cell phone? You were trying to find the next best way to connect to the next best friend that you had on the internet. But then they went and made this. This is what humans do. We create things and we keep going forward. Look at how big the camera is now. Look at how big, this is like a video camera. It does high definition, it does 4K resolution. Guys, I remember when I started in television broadcasting and the thing was like the size of 2 shoulders of boombox and it was supposed to be a camera. Like I literally had to bring it in a big container and get it to school and put a VHS tape in the side of it. I'm not that old. So imagine, like, this is what humans do. We constantly thrive off creating something new, finding something new, right? So the book talks about that. Number 11, the law of trade-offs. You have to give up to grow up. Because these are big laws. They've been written by somebody that's done it before us. I think it's so cool because it teaches you all the things you need to know by somebody who's already done it to get to where they want to get to. And John C. Maxwell, not only obviously is a writer, that kind of stuff, pastor, very wealthy, very accomplished. He's done a lot of things. He's helped a lot of people. His books are in thousands of like different languages and thousands of stores across the world. It's just very cool. It's a very cool book. I'm super passionate about it. This one was actually a gift from my business coach that I signed up for that I probably should have used more tricks and tips out of, but I can still go back to that. Don't worry. I could go on and on about this. The law of curiosity. Growth is stimulated by asking why. How many times do you guys ask why? You just say, okay. No, why first? We have an intern right now, and she probably asks why every day. I don't get annoyed by that because of this. I ask why all the time. I always ask why. I asked why when I was a kid. I remember driving down the road in the back seat of the car with my parents, and I would ask why all the time. Why is that sign blue? This dumb as shit. But it led me to where I am today by asking questions why, because then I can make informed opinions about what I choose to do and what I want to support, right? So this is a wake-up call, I think, for a lot of people to really start digging in deeper. I can't count how many times I've said in the inner circle that we need to get deeper. We had that one really great call, which was talking about the whys of everybody. And I'm pretty sure if we went back and listened to that call, everybody would cry again. Sabrina, Allison, you remember it? That was a tough call. And I think that going back and reflecting on that call and then applying it to now will show you guys, like a bunch of you said your whys. And go back to that post in the inner circle and look at your whys to help you start this journey, start this action taking. We just need to go harder, guys. We need to go harder. The law of expansion, growth always increases your capacity. People ask me, how can I do so much? It's because I'm growing. It's not that I'm doing more. It's just that I have the capacity is greater. Look at the people around us now. Look at the people in our community. It goes far greater than just myself teaching 11 classes every single week, right? It's grown to 25 classes. I teach 4. The capacity is greater to make more impact because other people want to do what I've already done so that they can get themselves to the next step. And their next step is completely different than my next step. And that's what it's supposed to be like. But that's what happens when you grow. If you choose to grow, you will actually get busier in the same amount of time of the day that everybody else has. And you'll see more come to your life. You just got to have that willpower, that I guess that constant fire that Candace has, that she's trying to help people see and all that kind of. You just have to have that. If you have that, you'll continue going forward. I promise you'll continue going forward if you have that mindset that you're going to light yourself up every day. If you write your stuff out tonight, and I'm going to sit here right after the call, and I'm going to write what I want to do tomorrow in this book. If you do that, I challenge you. There's only 6 of us on the call right now. I challenge you to write what you want to do tomorrow. Look at that. Okay, 2019, realignment. That's awesome. Candace is showing that. I challenge you what you want to do. Write it. Write it for tomorrow. come to the end of the day on Monday night or Tuesday morning and tell me how you felt throughout that day. That's your homework. That's it. Before this call ends, we're going to get cut off. That's what I want you guys to do. I'm going to end it right there because it says 6 minutes, but I don't believe it. Last time it said that, it cut me off. But guys, I'm going to unmute you guys. What do you guys think? What do you guys feel? Does it make sense? You can nod yes, say yes. Candace, you're on your phone now, I can tell. Yes.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Perseverance. We can hear her.
Yay!
This is a big moment.
This is.
I think you've reached your next platform of your coaching. You can actually be heard.
That's true. It's exciting.
It is very exciting. So anyways, guys, write your stuff down. I want you guys to feel how good it feels to do that on Monday. Tomorrow is just another day, right? Another day to crush out goals. We'll keep that one. I don't know if we can make another one. There it is. No, it's can't. Yeah, right. It is, eh? Look at that. That's too funny. You can't even make that shit up. You can't even make that shit up. And that's all recorded. Candace, your mic works, but it's making sounds. I don't know what's going on there exactly, but it's pretty funny. Anyways, guys, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope it helped. 15 laws of invaluable growth, okay? Take this book to heart. Make it happen. Read it. All right, guys. Good night.
Good night.